In 1934, a shop inside the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York had a small glass fox it could not sell. They'd listed it at $65. Nobody wanted it. So they marked it down to $35. Today, that fox is worth $338,000. Only about 6 of them are known to exist. And they keep turning up, in garages, in estate clearances, in boxes nobody has opened in 50 years, because the people who inherited them had no idea what they were looking at. We'll come back to the fox. Because first you need the honest answer to the question that brought you here. You have a cabinet full of crystal. Waterford. Maybe Baccarat. Maybe something signed Lalique. And you want to know what it's worth. I'm going to tell you. And you're not going to like the first part. Let's start with the one almost everyone has. Waterford. A new Waterford Lismore wine glass retails for around $80 to $90. That same glass, secondhand, sells for about $10 to $15. And if you take a full set to a dealer who buys in bulk, they will offer you around $4 for a champagne flute. $3 for a wine glass. $3. It gets worse. There's a line called Marquis by Waterford, the cheaper range, sold in department stores through the 80s and 90s. Many dealers now will not buy Marquis at all. Not at a low price. They simply won't take it. In October of 2025, a pair of Lismore goblets sold on eBay, for $31. The pair. So that's the honest answer. If your cabinet is full of ordinary Waterford stemware, it is not a small fortune. It's a few dollars a glass, if someone will take it. Now, how does something that expensive become worth almost nothing? The story starts in 1783, in a harbour town on the south coast of Ireland. 2 brothers, George and William Penrose, opened a glassworks in Waterford. And what came out of it was extraordinary. Crystal of a clarity and a weight that people had not seen before. It caught light in a way ordinary glass simply couldn't. For 70 years, it was one of the great names in Europe. And then, in 1853, it closed. The factory shut its doors, the workers scattered, and the name went quiet for almost a century. It came back in 1947, revived by a glassmaker named Karel Bocek, who brought in a Czech designer, Miroslav Havel. Havel went back to the old Waterford cutting patterns, and in 1952, he drew a design of diamond cuts and wedge cuts that he called Lismore. That one pattern would go on to fill more cabinets than almost any other design in the world. And here is where crystal joins a story you may already know. Back in 1924, Marshall Field's department store in Chicago invented the bridal registry, a list where an engaged couple recorded the patterns they wanted, so family and friends knew what to buy. Those first registries contained 3 things: china, silver, and crystal. The holy trinity of the middle-class wedding. So through the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, into the 90s, millions of couples chose a crystal pattern. And their families bought it for them, piece by piece, birthday by birthday, anniversary by anniversary. 12 wine glasses. 12 champagne flutes. A decanter. A vase. And then, in almost every one of those homes, the same thing happened. It went into the cabinet. Behind glass. And it stayed there. Because crystal is heavy, and it chips, and you cannot put it in a dishwasher. So it came out at Christmas, if it came out at all. And the rest of the year it sat on a shelf, catching the light, waiting for an occasion grand enough to justify it. So why is it worth $3? The first reason is simply arithmetic. Waterford sold an enormous amount of crystal for a very long time. Millions of pieces, across decades, into millions of homes. And crystal doesn't wear out. It isn't used, so it isn't broken. It sat behind glass in perfect condition for 40 years. Which means almost all of it survived. And now all of it is arriving on the market at once, as the generation that registered for it downsizes or passes away. Enormous supply. Perfect condition. All at the same moment. And on the other side, the demand simply isn't there. Younger buyers live in smaller homes. They don't have china cabinets. They don't host the kind of dinner that requires 12 matching wine glasses. And they will not hand wash anything. So you have a market flooded with a product nobody has room for, that requires effort nobody wants to give, in a style that reads as their grandmother's. That's not a dip. That's a floor. There's one more thing about Waterford that almost nobody knows. And if you own it, you should. In January of 2009, Waterford Wedgwood, the company that owned the brand, went into receivership. It collapsed. The name survived. In 2015, the Finnish company Fiskars bought it, along with Wedgwood and Royal Doulton. But something else happened along the way. Most Waterford crystal is no longer made in Ireland. Production moved, to the Czech Republic, to Slovenia, to Germany. The town of Waterford still has a facility, and it still melts crystal. But the great majority of the crystal carrying that Irish name, is not made in Ireland anymore. So when people tell you the brand isn't what it was, they're not being sentimental. They're being literal. Now let's go to the opposite end of this market entirely. In 1764, by decree of King Louis XV, a glassworks was founded in a small town in eastern France. The town was called Baccarat. For its first 50 years it made ordinary glass. Then, in 1816, it perfected a formula for crystal of extraordinary purity, and everything changed. In 1827, it made the first crystal chandelier in France. And then the orders started arriving from a very particular kind of customer. In 1873, the Shah of Persia ordered crystal lighting. And that history shows up in the price. Baccarat did not flood the market. It never became a department store wedding gift. It stayed expensive, and it stayed relatively scarce. So while ordinary Waterford stemware fell to a few dollars a glass, Baccarat has held far better. Where it holds best is not the drinking glasses, it's the large decorative work. The chandeliers, the candelabra, the monumental pieces made for palaces and exhibitions. A 24-light Baccarat chandelier sold at Sotheby's in London for £62,500. Now, I want to be careful here, because this is exactly where most videos about crystal start misleading people. The overwhelming majority of Baccarat in ordinary homes is not a chandelier. It's a few glasses, or a vase, or a decanter. Those are worth real money compared with Waterford, but they are not palace money. The gap between holds its value well and £60,000 is enormous, and almost everything you own sits at the bottom of it. Which brings us to the third name. And Lalique doesn't really belong in a video about tableware at all. René Lalique was born in 1860. And he did not begin as a glassmaker, he began as a jeweler, and a spectacular one, working at the height of the Art Nouveau period. It was only around 1907 that he turned seriously to glass. And what he made was not crystal in the Waterford sense. No diamond cuts, no wedge cuts, no stemware sets. Lalique made sculpture. Frosted, flowing forms, women, insects, birds, water, leaves. Objects that sat somewhere between decoration and art. He died in 1945. His son Mark took over, and it was Mark who moved the company into lead crystal, from around 1951. And that transition, from the father to the son, created the single most important detail in the entire crystal market. Turn a piece of Lalique over. Look at the signature. If it reads, R. Lalique, with the R, that piece was made during René Lalique's own lifetime. Before 1945. If it reads simply, Lalique France, it was made after his death. That single letter can separate a piece worth a few $100s from a piece worth many thousands. Same style. Same factory. Same name on the base. One letter. And most people who inherit Lalique never turn the piece over at all. They see the name, they assume it's the same thing, and they price it accordingly. Which brings us, finally, back to the fox. In the 1920s and 30s, René Lalique made something unexpected. Car mascots. Hood ornaments. Glass sculptures designed to be bolted to the radiator cap of an expensive motor car, a falcon, a greyhound, a woman's head with hair streaming back in the wind. Some were sold with illuminated bases so they glowed as the car moved. On the 9th of December, 1930, Lalique introduced one called Renard. The fox. It was sold in America through a firm called Mille, whose showroom was inside the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York. They catalogued it at $65. It didn't sell. So by 1934, they'd marked it down to $35. Today, experts believe only about 6 examples survive anywhere in the world. At Christie's, one has sold for £245,000. At Bonhams, $338,000. For a small glass fox. Marked down, in a hotel gift shop, 90 years ago, because nobody wanted it. And here is the part that should make you go and look in the garage. Records of how many were made were lost. Nobody knows the true number. And the ones that surface do so, again and again, in deceased estates, inherited by people who had no idea what the strange glass animal on the shelf actually was. So, is your old crystal worth anything? Almost certainly not much. If it's ordinary Waterford stemware, you're looking at a few dollars a glass, and a dealer who may not want it at all. That's not a market crash. That's what happens when millions of people buy something durable, never use it, and all release it in the same decade. If it's Baccarat, you're in better shape, genuinely. But temper it. What's in your cabinet is almost certainly not what hangs in a palace. And if it's Lalique, turn it over. Look for the R. But I think there's something worth sitting with here, beyond the numbers. All of this glass was bought as a promise. A young couple stood in a department store and chose a pattern, and their family bought it for them one piece at a time, because that was how you said, "We hope your life is the kind of life that deserves beautiful things." And then it went behind glass. And it waited. The tragedy isn't that it's worth $3. The tragedy is that it was never used. Not because it wasn't loved, because it was loved too carefully. And somewhere out there, on a shelf in a garage, there's a glass fox that somebody's grandfather bought for $35 and thought was rather ugly. It might be worth more than the house it's sitting in.